Here's another attempt at tapping into your truth. Attempt number 2 to tapping into your truth. It's just basically talking out loud and recording it and not worrying about what you say, not knowing what you do, not knowing what you'll even say for 30 minutes. This is like literally you can talk out loud and this is your voice, right? Like this is your inner voice talking, but you're talking out loud. You're evolving by Kyle Cease, right? It's evolving out loud, and it's just being able to say and do whatever the hell you want, and there's no filter, there's nothing. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to say, why I'm going to say it, and once you get to that truth, that is where you open up the most creative parts of yourself. You could have billion-dollar ideas, and you just, if you're not tapping into that kind of energy, what's the point, right? Like, I have no idea what I'm saying right now, and I did it earlier today and loved it. Like, absolutely loved how I felt right afterwards, so I'm doing it again. Might just be able to do this forever, I don't know. Like, this is insane how good I felt after talking out loud and not having a damn clue or prejudgment of what I'm going to say or do. It just comes to mind. So earlier I was talking about a lot about like my heartstrings, or like what tugs at my heart, what gets my vibrations going. And, you know, I kind of feel like I want to talk more about that. And I think that's why I was compelled to hit number 2, right? To like tap into my truth, number 2 or whatever, right? I mean, tap into my truth 500 it could be. It doesn't matter. Like, I felt so good right afterwards, and I am coming back to the fact of doing it again, right? Like, we want to find a place where we're always happy. Like, what if you just lived in that place? What if you just loved that place? I don't even know what that place looks like yet, and I'm loving it. Like, I was living there for a half hour earlier today, and then, you know, I think my fight or flight took over because I guess I was just a little afraid of time, like not having enough time. Like, oh man, I don't know if I can talk for 30 minutes, or when I hit 31 minutes, I'm like, well, I better stop because the exercise is over. But really, who gives a crap what time it is? I think that's the biggest thing right now for myself, is like every day that goes by, that's just one less day that I have to live, and that's your fight or flight mode. And then you're just like, well, I got to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. But then what? Like, how about like Facebook right now reminds us, hey, on this day a year ago, this is what happened. It's like, thank you fucking Facebook for reminding me that my ass is getting old and my children are growing up faster. Like, that kind of pisses me off, but it's actually on the flip side, it's actually kind of fun because it's like, oh man, you know, like, that was really cool a year ago, and man, look what we've done since then. Like, Facebook is, I'm kind of rebelling Facebook right now. I'm still posting on it, of course, but it's just, Facebook has they're coming out with new features. Like I saw today, I can put a little heart and then love it instead of like it, and I can be angry about it and all that, because that shit needs to be put out there. Like, I don't really want to know that. I don't really care to know that, but apparently that's the next phase of Facebook. So now, instead of talking with people, we get to hit love and like, and then that's the next layer of bullshit that we have to contend with, because now what, right? Like, just because somebody doesn't like or love or be happy at what I'm posting, now I'm going to add another layer of depression to that whole bullshit? That is concerning to me. Why not just call somebody and tell them, hey, that was a pretty cool blog post you did there. That was a pretty cool post you did on Facebook. Or like, humanity is moving so digitally in such a rapid pace that anybody who's not willing to keep up, you're going to get left behind. And what does that look like? I don't know, right? I mean, that's just one of my concerns of like, what is happening? Like, I used to be, you know, about a month ago, like all digital, like everything I'm doing is on my phone. And then it's like, put the damn phone down, and you don't need it. That's an external source to me, right? That's an external source to you. Like, you don't need that. You do not need that at all. I don't need that. Like, it's just, that's some crazy shit happening. And I have a conference line which we meet on, and it's awesome because I actually get to hear live voices. Like, people, I think we just don't hear anything anymore. Like, we just read it or consume the information, look at the news. It's such bullshit that I think being a good news merchant, I think it would be a good idea to start a news channel that you only like report good news. Like, instead of going, oh man, this plane crashed today, literally put on there like, guess how many planes actually got to their destination today? Like, is that even fathomable? Like can you fathom what that number would look like? You're like, oh, somebody died today. Well, actually, that's sad, but while they died today, how many people in the world lived today, right? Like, that's just my perspective on it. And I bet you, I don't know, I mean, who knows what could happen with that kind of shit, right? Like, with that kind of happiness and good news, would people want to watch that? They're like, yeah, I know, people lived again today. Oh, well. Like, that kind of gratitude is why we are so, that actually the absence of that gratitude is why we're so fucked up to begin with. Like, we take life for granted. We take every breath we have and take for granted. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, for a news agency to be like, oh, this is what, like, we're gravitated towards the negative because it's easy to bitch, right? Like, it's easy to bitch about everything. So an idea would be to have that newspaper or have that news outlet, have the news anchor to be like, take like reverse engineer that shit. Like, go back, watch the news, and then report on everything opposite of what they said. Like, yesterday's news is today's good news. That could do it, right? Like, yesterday's news could be today's good news. Like, because, I mean, you're not going to know what the news is. So if somebody said, well, there's, 10 people shot in a store, okay, report that, like, there was a gunman. But how many people lived, right? Like, be grateful for that. Mourn the loss, but be grateful for that. Like, completely reverse all the negative that is happening and put a positive spin on it, so it's people like, hey, those families that the people died, that, is very unfortunate. God, please help them, be with them, and then be very grateful for the families and the people that lived through it, and report that. Like, why can't we do that? Who's stopping us? Why not? There's just so much negative. Like, we have a K-Fan. There's I'm really liking this radio station, and positive, encouraging, whatever it's called, whatever that radio station is called. It's pretty damn cool because those are their words, and they talk about God, and they talk about the miracles that God performs, and that's a big deal. Like, that's the only one. It's the only radio station that I've ever heard say positive, encouraging, right? Like, it's like, whoa, that's pretty damn cool. So anything else on my mind? I have no idea. Like, this is just round 2, so I'm just going to keep rambling. Like, this is the whole point of 30 minutes, to really dig deep and find something within yourself, is to tap into the truth, right? Like, what is going on in my brain, in my mind, my body, my soul, right at this moment, to ask myself the right questions of why I'm doing what I'm doing in my experience of life. And I have no idea. Like, I love coaching. I love helping people realize their true self. Like, I meet some pretty down people, like depressed, like they can't do anything in their own mind. They tell themselves that. And nothing is more rewarding to me than really, really, really digging deep and helping that person dig deep and say, holy shit, I can, right? I can actually do this. And that right there gets my just my vibrational being just completely radiating. Like, that is what I live for. Like, does that happen every day? Do I have those moments every day? No, not yet, but I think it's coming. I think every day that I practice helping somebody do that every day of their life, the more I get to do that. Like, that is just a big deal. Like, they don't have to tell me. Like, I just feel it. Like, I can just feel those things. I have that gift to just feel that those shifts are happening, which that's kind of a big deal to me. So it goes, I may not get all the way to 30 minutes with this, but I'm good with that too. Like, it's round 2, so I can do whatever the hell I want anyway. Like, the first exercise was to do it for 30 minutes. The second exercise, why not? Can this be a form of meditation itself? I think it can be. And for me, this is me, right? Like, this is as much as I get to do all the time. Like, this is my own thoughts. What's really crazy is ADHD. Like, this is what happens in my head all the time. Like, this is me talking out loud, and this is my voice that usually is inside, right? Like, I'm always thinking, always talking, don't know how to shut it off, and just keep talking and moving and doing. That's literally my mind right there. You are literally hearing how I talk and how I think out loud. Isn't that insane? Like, I just can't even believe that this is so freeing. I can't even believe that it is so working. Like, my mental health has never been better. People are really asking me if I'm okay and going, are you sure you're okay? Like, I'm kind of worried, and I am glad for that. Like, I am grateful for that, because then that means I am breaking the norm. Like, I am breaking off and doing something way, way, way different. And that means at the same time, I am not the crazy one. I'm actually worried about them, because they're stuck, right? They're stuck in their ways. They are being pushed like a herd of cattle right back to where, right back to the golden handcuffs, right? Like, it hurts. We need this and we need that, or I want this and I want that, Yeah, we need stuff. We need some generalized stuff in life, but I just don't think that we need all this shit that, new cars and new houses and new clothes. And it's like, you gotta be, right? And you gotta serve your purpose. And that's the other thing. I mean, like, I think I do a pretty damn good job of helping people realize their purpose. What is your purpose? What is my purpose? My purpose is just to help other people serve their purpose. And there's a purpose for that. If I could say purpose one more time, that'd be cool. Purpose, purpose, purpose. But it doesn't matter, right? Like, I am just being right now. Like, this is always my head. This is what happens in my head, always and forever. It just does not stop until I want it to stop. And there's no judgment with this, and I love it. Like, this is just like the coolest thing, because I get to feel like this. I get to do all of this, and it's the most freeing feeling. And to outsiders looking in, you may think I'm nuts, and I'm good with that. Like, I am completely okay with other people thinking I'm nuts, because then that means I'm doing something right. Because you break the mold. You do something different. It does not matter what anybody thinks of you, because usually that perception that you think, that other people think of you, is your own perception. They probably don't have a fucking clue of what that means, right? Like, it just does not matter. It just does not matter. Because the only thing at the end of the day that matters is you, right? And it sounds corny and it sounds stupid, but, like, motivational speakers, that's literally what they talk about, is they talk about how to please you. Sales, that's literally what they talk about. They ask you, do you need help? What would you like help with today? What can I help you with today? Like, help, 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 help. What else do you want help with? Do you even know what you need help with? There's probably a list a mile long. What does that look like? Do you know what to do? Are there resources at hand? I know one really awesome freaking resource that people overlook is called the internet. The internet is a crazy tool, and you can pretty much find any damn thing possible. If you don't think it's being done already, you're wrong. People are doing whatever idea you have already. So what's the point of not going after it? Like, what's the point of like, oh man, I don't know how to do this? Who gives a shit? Like, don't even judge it. Like, figure out, ask yourself, right? Ask yourself, what does this mean? What does this feeling mean? Like, that gut feeling that you have is usually right. Like, go after that gut feeling. What does that mean? Like, I hit record today for the second time right here because I have this gut feeling that I wasn't done, right? Like, I just wasn't done. Like, this first exercise of the shift that's happening within me is not done. And I was like, all right, here, let's do another one. And here we are. Like, I'm so not done. I need to get this out, and I am, and it feels awesome. And I think a lot of times we go through phases of, oh, I can't, and I want, and I won't, and I will, and like, where do we start, right? Like, where do we start the changes, the phases of change, right? Well, there's so many of them, so it's overcomplicated by science and bullshit that I think that it's as simple as starting. Like, Larry Hochman does it perfectly. He says how you do anything. He's got 5 simple steps. Check it out, right? I mean, like, that is some pretty crazy stuff that he's teaching. He's got the counseling background. Like, he's got to figure it out. All you got to do is as simple as starting. Oh, shit, right? Like, that was just a bomb of information. Not really. It's just simple. You just start. Like, when you were a baby, did you all of a sudden just get up and run away? Hell no. You had to just start walking and start falling over and start smashing your head into shit, right? Like, that's how it works. Like, you don't do anything different than that. You don't do any, like, if you own a business, your first year of business, you birthed a business, right? Your first year, imagine what a freaking baby learns from 0, like birth day 1 to 1 years old. That's a lot of shit happening, and it has to grow like that. And if you're not growing like that, you're not going anywhere. And then if you hit age 2, right? If we could all, let's go on this road, if we could all accomplish what a human being accomplishes in its first 2 years of life and apply that kind of massive overhaul and live like that every day of our life, we would live until we were like 500 years old. Because there would be no limitation, there would be no resistance, there would be no bullshit sitting in our way, because none of it would ever matter. None of it would ever get in our way, because at that age, you don't know not to. You literally don't know not to. So as parents, we all have, parents and peers, we all have this huge responsibility, or we think we do, that we need to just raise our kids in a certain way. Well, fuck that. What if you don't send them to school, right? What if you don't want to send them to school? Well, now you're the parent who thinks you know it all. Well, I'm going to send my kid to school for what? An education that the government tells me, and I'm not even going to get started on the government because that is a different topic, different day. That's horseshit anyway. Like, what I'm saying is my being, like, if we would learn how to get into the zone of being okay with doing nothing and being okay with doing everything, like we were from the ages of day 1 when we were born to the age of 2 years old, and apply that mentality every day of our life and just play. And just play. No rules. Yeah, you know what? There's got to be rules. But within reason, right? Like, you can do whatever you want. Well, you can't just jump off of a bridge without a bungee cord and expect to live, right? Like, you're gonna fucking die. Like, that's how it works. But you can do whatever you want as long as you believe that anything can happen. As long as you know that in your heart, that is how it works. That is literally how it can work for you. And if you're not willing to go that far, then, you know, half-assing it, you're only going to get half-ass results. You're only going to get half-ass life. Like, as soon as you can let go of the stupid shit that everybody else wants, right? If you live in a life of want, then you're going to live a life of lack. You're going to lack everything. You always want more time, and you always want more money, and you always want more, right? Well, screw more, right? I'm not saying you have to be okay with having less, because as soon as you figure out that you have more, as soon as you start thinking that you have enough and you have more than enough, you're going to continue to have more than enough. If you have bread and water right now to eat and drink, then you probably have enough. If you have enough in your mind, in your heart, in your body, in your soul, you probably have enough. That is what it's about. And this is just such a freeing way to do this. Like, you just completely talk out loud, record it, so that there's some accountability there, so then you know that it's real. So then you're talking out loud, not just randomly spewing anything to anybody, but this is you being honest. This is way, way, way deeper than, it's talk therapy, but like, you get to hold yourself accountable to it because you say it. Now, if you share it, great. If you don't, who gives a shit? Like, you get to put it wherever you want. And this might actually make it out. This might actually make it everywhere and anywhere that, like, YouTube or whatever. Like, it can make it wherever. But, I don't know. Like, it just depends. It just depends on what's happening. So, that's my brain, that's my mind. Like, it doesn't stop. Like, this is all that I do, and I'm learning, right? I'm actually learning very, 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 honestly, I'm learning how to shut it down. Like, an ADHD kid can think about nothing for an hour straight. Shit, I've done it twice now. Like, more than twice. Like, it's freaking awesome. Like, it takes practice, but it's awesome. It's meditation, it's prayer, it's whatever you want to call it, but it's some pretty crazy stuff. So my attempt at 30 minutes is not quite 30 minutes, but I don't think it matters. Like, I've learned already so much about myself in the last 21 minutes, almost 22, but I think that's the point, and that's what you do, and that's how you practice. You practice and practice and practice until what? Until you get what you want out of your practice. And if your practice is talking into a phone with a little recorder on it, awesome. Then I'm accomplishing way more than I have ever accomplished. Just because I think there is no judgment on what I'm saying and doing. I'm just talking. Like, all it is just talking. Like, I could explain anything right now because I feel like I'm on top of the world. Like, that's how empowering all of this crazy stuff is. Like, if there was any more that I could tell you that to convince you or to have you do what I'm doing without feeling like a complete idiot, you might, right? You might at first feel dumb. You might. But the coolest part of all it is if you want to share it, go for it. If you don't have to. Like, that doesn't matter. Who cares? The important part is you feel good about yourself. You feel good about what you're doing. You feel good about what's happening in your life. Like, that is some pretty powerful stuff, no matter who you are. So, keep going with that. So, that's as much as I think I can, as much as I know today, that is as much as I know right now in this moment, and this will probably be out. This will probably be out somewhere. It'd be number 2, right? Like, it's the next phase. Like, it's the next phase of what I'm doing, and feeling what am I doing? I'm just talking, right? I'm just talking, and at that point, there's no judgment. There's nothing happening. There's no judgment on what I'm doing. It's just me talking out loud, showing you that this is real, showing myself that this is real, showing me, myself, and I. Like, it just is so freeing to talk from the heart and know that there's no judgment. And and I think God really, this is really what it is. Like, I think the universe and God, and like whatever you call it, is like it's a big deal, because then you're putting trust into something bigger than yourself, and that shows that you're ready for more. That you're ready for more. You can handle more. You can you get more, right? Not get it, but in quotes, not get, but you can do more, like you can endure more. You are growing in such a massive way, and I think that's the biggest thing that I can take away from all of this is I feel so good about what's happening and what's going on, and just know that I'm in a good place. Like if you would ever think that I'm not, then it must be your own perception of what's happening, because I'm in a great place. Like being in the not know has really, really, really helped my mental health. Like it's insane on how much it's grown. So ADHD, depression, anxiety, anything, like this is probably one of the craziest things I've ever done, but it is the most rewarding at the same time. So, bipolar, schizophrenia, anything, like just start talking and record it. And you don't even need like the recording part of it. It just shows you that there's something more happening. Like you just get to let go and be free. So there it is. That's the haps today. That's me loving myself. So I guess this voice will return back into my head, and now while when I'm talking or thinking or whatever it is, you're gonna look at me going, boy, he's probably got a shit ton going on in his head right now. So just remember that if I'm ever off a little bit, that means my wheels are spinning, and it's okay. Like it's good to have some wheels spinning, because I know that every day I will get to not spin my wheels again and take an hour or 2 or 4, whatever it is, whatever you have in your life for time to shut down. I would say do it and do this and keep learning and growing. So yeah, my voice goes back into my head, and that's all for now.